Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to another episode of the 4-Star Classic. We had some schedule delays, some things happened. Plus, we had this little event called AEW Full Gear. Don't know if you guys have ever heard about it, but we kind of had to move things around because with the way our schedule is set up, we didn't want to release this episode without talking about Full Gear. So we're doing a Super Sunday recording. Whether this comes out Sunday or Monday, that we'll see. But ew, why did that person just follow me? All right, my fault, y'all. So this episode we're gonna talk about the November 4th episode of Dynamite, which was the go home show for Full Gear, and then we will talk about Full Gear itself. So, anything you want to say, or should we just dive right into the go home show?
Let's dive right into it. No need to waste any time.
All right, so this show, it started with Dasha interviewing Chris Jericho, who was with Hager and Santana. After that, they were doing the interview, and MJF interrupted them. He said he was glad Chris would have a front row seat tonight to see firsthand that MJF belongs in the inner circle. And Jericho says that MJF doesn't have a killer instinct, and he's soft. And MJF said, "All right, bet, just watch." So obviously this launches us right into the Ortiz and Sammy Guevara versus MJF and Wardlow match to start the show. Jericho joined Excalibur, Tony Schiavone, and JR on commentary for this match. And obviously the gimmick or the stipulation here is if MJF and Wardlow win this tag match, then he didn't have to win the tag match to get the shot at Jericho, did he?
No, I don't think so. I think the whole point of the story was uh, Ortiz and Sammy were going to let MJF make its full gear. So
yeah. All right, yeah, you're right on that. You're right on that. So no matter what happened in the match, MJF was going to face Jericho, and obviously if he wins at Full Gear, then he'll join the Inner Circle. That's the whole gimmick on that match. So they go back and forth. I mean, it wasn't look anything that has Wardlow is going to be money to me. That's just like he's one of my favorite dudes in pro wrestling right now. So really the highlight or the big spot of this match is Sammy's on the outside and he flips off Serpentico.
yeah,
Serpentico, David Arquette, Rebel, Reba, whatever you want to call him. And Serpentico decided he's going to hurl a chair at Sammy.
yeah, he did.
And it hits him right in the head, and what do you know? It is Matt Hardy under the mask.
Yep.
So obviously this is building up to their final deletion match that they're going to have at Full Gear. We'll get into that when we get to the pay-per-view. But obviously this kind of takes Sammy out of it because he's got a thing with Matt going on. And then MJF locks in the Salt of the Earth armbar on Ortiz. Ortiz taps. MJF and Wardlow celebrating the win. Well, MJF celebrating the win. Wardlow's just kind of there.
Wardlow's just like, I'm here. What about it?
MJF charges Jericho. They have a pull-apart brawl that actually, for once, did not go too long. I couldn't believe it. I could not believe it. They timed it perfectly.
I was very pleased. I was.
MJF charged him, drove him down, they pulled him apart, and they ended it. They didn't have to go back to each other 8 times.
No, that spot where MJF drove him through, like Jericho sitting on commentary, all you see is MJF run at him. I was like, oh, it's like that, huh?
Yeah.
I was like that was fire to me. Like it was a different way to start the brawl, and I appreciated that because it was creative. So
yeah, because I feel like AEW's biggest issue with the brawls is they don't know how to time them. They always go too long.
Yeah.
And this one, you didn't have that on this one. It went perfect.
Yeah, I agree.
I like what they've been doing opening shows with these backstage interviews with Dasha.
Yes.
I think it just gives it a good vibe to start the show.
Yes, I agree. Very much so.
So, after this, they cut to a pre-tape interview that Tony Schiavone had with Kenny Omega about his upcoming match at Full Gear with Hangman. Kenny Omega, saying I'm destined to win the tournament, then become the next AEW World Champion. Kenny has, insisted this whole time that, he's a singles competitor.
Mm-hmm.
He's a former tag competitor that's now a singles competitor, and he feels that Hangman is still stuck as a tag team wrestler.
Yeah.
So Kenny just kind of throwing shots at he can't hang with me,
Yeah.
whatever. Just a quick little interview to get the match over, and it wasn't anything to write home about, but it wasn't bad either.
It wasn't anything special, but they didn't. To be fair, they didn't have to do much to put that match over. So
Yeah, that match was already built.
yeah.
So after this, it went to my favorite feud in
Like, come on,
AEW.
man. It's Sunday. We gotta be nice today, right? It's a Sunday.
No. Making his singles debut in AEW, the best man Miro, with Kip Sabian and Penelope Ford, faced Trent with Chuck Taylor and Orange Cassidy. So I think a big issue, or like something that happened, was I think Trent was like, "Oh yeah, Miro, when you joined FCW back in the day, you were my young boy." And for those that don't know, young boy is like in Japanese wrestling. If you're a young boy, you're basically like a servant to whatever veteran you're with, and it's part of like the training and initiation process.
Yeah.
And it's kind of like a form of hazing, I would say. And so Trent's kind of like saying like, "Oh, like I was your superior, you were below me. Like you were not on my level. You were my young boy." And so Miro was cutting a promo and was getting mad about that. And then he insulted Trent's mom. And as we all know, you don't talk about Sue.
Nah.
You don't like. I think Jericho even referenced that on commentary.
Yeah, he did.
He was like, "Oh well, when Santana and Ortiz talked about Sue, we saw how that ended for him." He's like, I wouldn't recommend it."
Nah. Don't another man's mom. Don't ever do that.
Yeah. So Trent hits him with a drop kick. They're they're going back and forth. They're doing basically just a back and forth match, which is what they needed.
Yeah.
So during the match, Penelope Ford slapped Orange Cassidy, and then John Silver attacked Cassidy from behind because Cassidy and Silver are facing at Full Gear.
Mr.
John Silver's jacked. This dude has never skipped arm day a day in his life.
Mm-hmm.
One thing I noticed throughout this show, because I'll be honest, I left halfway through the show to go to the gym. One thing I noticed is when I was watching, and this isn't like, I know y'all know that I love to like knock on JR and make fun of JR. This isn't even a knock on JR. This is more so just like an observation. The commentary pace is very slow and methodical, which is fine. Like that's not a knock. That's just an observation. But when Jericho joins the booth, Jericho tries to go 1,000 miles an hour.
Yes, he does.
Like he's just sitting there just going, and Jim's just looking at him like.
And it works perfectly because I'll say this: I don't dislike the commentary team at all. I like all three guys, but you can definitely tell that JR and Tony are older, and it's nothing against them. It's just the fact that I feel like Jericho and Excalibur are just another step ahead, which they should be at this point in everybody's life. So, but I've said this since Excalibur joined the team. I fully expect once JR's deal runs out, he's taking over play-by-play.
Yeah,
I really expected that. Now, who they put beside him, I don't know because I don't know how long Tony's deal is, but I know JR's deal is not for that long. So
and as much as I love that JR, and I'll get to this when we talk about the pay-per-view, I felt that JR had a very good night at Full Gear. I think he had, and y'all know me, if JR messes up, I'm the first one to say something. And of course, like, he did have his quips here and there, but that's just JR. Like, that's just what you're going to get with JR.
I genuinely enjoyed commentary last night.
I think Jim had a really good night on commentary.
Yeah.
He was on his game.
But homie Tony needed to take a nap before the show.
They shouldn't have had Tony working the buy-in because by the time the main events rolled around, he was exhausted.
Yeah. Which people think it's easy. It's not easy. I mean, we do this little podcast, and it's not easy to talk for 2 hours.
Yeah,
so did it for 4.
Yeah.
So it's not an easy job.
Personally, my favorite commentary team that AEW's put out is Excalibur and Taz on Dark. and I get why he doesn't do Dynamite because he's got Team Taz and all that, but eventually I would like to see them move to an Excalibur and Taz booth. I feel like they complement each other a lot.
I feel like for a 2-hour show, you need a 2-man team. Yeah. That's just personal opinion. I understand why jumping companies, they do a 3-man team on Raw because, the show is 3 hours and it's way too damn long. So, but I've always liked the 2-man team better. Not to say I dislike 3-man teams. I just think it flows with the show better.
Yeah. But that's what I just noticed. That like Jericho, and I wouldn't mind if Jericho tried to reel it back a little. And I think obviously I don't know Jericho personally, but reading his books and just kind of getting a feel for the attitude that he has, I think he goes out there and tries to go a million miles an hour just to show that like he can do it.
Yeah.
And I get that having a chip on your shoulder, but I think when he joined commentary, would reel it back a little, because there are times when he'll get on commentary and the show will progress and he'll get in a groove where he's not trying to go a million out, and it works better. Yes. And I think, it's especially when he's at the start of a show. Like, by the time the show gets in, he gets settled. But when the show starts, he's like, bippity boppity, bippity boppity, bippity, just on and on and on and on. And I think it wouldn't hurt if he just reeled it in a little bit.
No, I don't disagree with that. I think I've noticed this about myself too, just doing this. I talk way too fast.
Yeah.
I think that's just part of it, because you keep moving, you're less nervous in a way, because I don't care what you say. You can walk out there on commentary a million times and you're still going to be nervous to some degree.
Yeah.
At one point. So
that's what we were talking about this, and because we did, podcasting isn't necessarily interviewing, but they share a lot of similarities. And we were talking about this in one of my classes when we were talking about interviewing, is you start talking fast and get fast paced because you don't want to leave awkward silence hanging.
Yeah.
And so I think that's kind of part of it. So I definitely agree that it's just a little bit of jitters, and as he gets more shows under commentary, that'll start to go away.
Yes.
Because you got to think, Excalibur, he was a commentator on the Indies. Taz was, I think he started in like 2001 doing, or maybe even, I think it was actually 2000. He started doing commentary in WWE when he hurt his neck. And obviously Tony and Jim have been around forever.
Yeah. So.
Yeah. But
just a little small tidbit. Just a little small.
So Trent jumped off the top rope with a springboard. Miro blasted him with a kick and got the win. Miro absolutely did need the win here. I have no complaint about that. Miro grabbed the mic, insulted Sue again, and then Orange Cassidy dropped from the top rope and crashed onto Miro and Kip Sapien. I really did think that they were going to have that tag match on the show. I'm glad they didn't, because the show didn't need more matches, but I was thoroughly surprised that they didn't.
Yeah, just speaking on the match before I jump into that, I didn't dislike the match at all. I thought the match went really well. I felt like Miro had a little bit too much control because Trent's well established.
Yeah.
But when Trent got his spots, his little, I know Austin calls them fighting spirit spots, which that's a great analogy. They were great spots. Like, he gets his energy going. They were great. And then obviously Miro wins. No problem with the match. Again, it's just the story behind it. It is what it is at this point, which the match was fine. It's like we've been saying all along. The 4 guys are beyond talented. Even Penelope is greatly talented. It's just, I don't like the whole it's a gaming machine, but we've harped on that in the last 2 episodes, so I won't bore y'all today.
Yeah, so, anyway, great match. Story is, what story? So, out of this, Jim Ross cuts to an interview with Hangman Page, and I think this is when I got ready and left to the gym. So from this point on, I caught parts of the show, but I didn't have audio on it because I was at the gym, and they don't have subtitles for TNT. Only TV that doesn't have subtitles kind of upset me. So obviously Shivani did the interview with Kenny, and this is kind of just the same thing that JR is doing with Page, and I like that they change up the interviewers.
Absolutely.
Depending on the character, because Excalibur works best with the Bucks, Tony works best with Kenny, Jim works best with Hangman. I like that they pair them based off who fits who. I thoroughly enjoy that.
Absolutely.
So Paige was obviously drinking a cocktail during this interview, and Jim Ross goes, "I think you're nervous. Guzzling that drink. Are you nervous?" And Hangman goes, "Yeah, I'm a little nervous. If I don't win this Saturday, I don't know what I got other than this glass of whiskey." So that kind of set the tone for the Full Gear match, and they definitely played up on this. We'll get there when we get there, but they definitely did. They definitely played up on Hangman not really having much else.
Absolutely.
After this, Team Taz came out. I did catch some of this Team Taz, and Taz was like, "Brother, Brian Cage, 10-1. Who better than Cage, brother? Starks, he's won 10 of his last 11, brother, and he's not even top 5. He's like, Cage is number 1. Where's his title match, brother?" So Taz was like, "We're shooting, brother. We're shooting."
Yeah.
So he's like, "How do we not have a match of Full Gear?" Ricky Starks had grabbed the mic and was like, "How do we not have a match of Full Gear? Make it make sense." And Taz grabs the mic and goes, "Cody, you believe in the motto, do the work? Well, Team Taz is getting worked, brother. And this Saturday at Full Gear, there will be a presence, brother."
And yes, there was a presence.
There definitely was. And just give Taz a microphone and he's going to be money.
Yes.
And Brian Cage and Starks fit perfectly with that.
Yeah.
Because Starks can absolutely hold his own on the mic. Cage is one of those dudes that he's better with the mouthpiece, but Taz is just so good on the mic.
It's nothing against Cage. I just noticed this about Cage, and I'm not a guy to judge. Trust me, I am not on that train at all. But when Cage grabs the mic, I expect his voice to be so much deeper than it is, and it's just not. Which nothing against him. It's just Taz definitely fits Cage on the mic. I definitely agree with that. I 110% agree with that.
Yeah, Taz is money, and these two dudes benefit from having a guy like Taz with the mic.
Yeah.
So after this, we get the Young Bucks versus Private Party. So Private Party made their entrance. Sammy Guevara ambushed Matt, spiked him on the entrance ramp. We'll get to this with Full Gear. I'm ready for these two dudes to get away from each other. They've run the story. I don't want anybody dying. I'm ready for them to get away from each other.
I think it's over.
And I would hope that it's over. You would think that after the final deletion match and all that, you would think it's done. It's over with. And I hope it is. Because I'm ready for them to move on to something else. So their commentary is really playing up on the fact that this is a rematch from the second episode of Dynamite when they were having the tag team tournament, and the Private Party got the upset win on the Bucks in the first round of the tournament and beat them. So they're playing up on that. I think people kind of forget that the Bucks put them over.
Yeah.
I think they forgot, but then I feel like when they started talking about that, you kind of knew that they were going over in this match. They were not going to lose before Full Gear.
No, and I appreciate the fact that they tied into the tournament. I always like weave and wind your way around the past stories. It just makes for a better fit and really shows that you are into what's happening, especially inside your own company. So,
and it rewards the fan for caring about the company.
Exactly.
Because they do callbacks to things like that.
Exactly. And then immediately my mind goes back to that episode where I was genuinely in shock. So
yeah. So commentaries, reminding fans that if the Bucks don't win the titles at Full Gear, they'll never challenge for them again. Matt Jackson's still working that injured leg, which we were talking about this during the pay-per-view last night. It didn't make sense to me that the Bucks were working a tag team match here if they were doing the hurt leg angle. You think they'd hold at least hold Matt Jackson out until Full Gear. I get it that they've got spirit, they're gonna fight, but you would think that from Tony Khan's kayfabe perspective that he wouldn't want his dream match getting compromised,
But at the same time, the match was fine. It
Yeah.
had needed to have. So, and thankfully nobody got hurt. I apparently he's hurt for real. I had no
Yeah.
idea last night. So
Yeah, he talked about that on the press conference call.
yeah. So I'll see if I can find it. He has Matt Jackson has a slight tear of his MCL. He also has a thinning of his ACL, which is not good because if that ACL tears, that's a year.
Yeah.
So
And I believe he said it's the first time since 2008 that he's had issues in that knee.
yeah.
So he'll have to, I don't know what they'll do there. I don't know if he can work through that or what they're going to do with that.
Yeah. Wish
So, oh, go ahead. Go ahead.
wish him nothing but the best though.
Yeah. So this is a nice little back and forth match. The Bucks hit the BTE trigger on Mark Quinn, get the pin. This was, this really puts Private Party over as much as it does Young Bucks, as they were going back and they've handled Private Party really good. And I think part of it is you can tell that every time Private Party goes out there, they're working on something.
Yeah.
They like you can tell that they just sit backstage at Daly's place and pick the brains of everybody in that company.
Exactly.
Because they look like, 6 months ago, I was not a big Private Party guy. They didn't really do much for me. And now I enjoy them. They've consistently gotten better every single week.
Yeah.
And
I've
you can tell that they take advantage of the vets in that company.
yes, I've enjoyed Private Party since they got there. I'll say this though, the one thing I don't like about Private Party right now, I don't like their intro song at all. But
Oh my God, is that Private Party?
that's really nitpicking. That's not even the problem. I that's fine. I just don't like the shots. Like I don't like the whole song is you saying shots. I don't like that. But that's just me nitpicking.
Man,
So
ain't you ever heard the LMFAO song? Shots,
it's not
shots, shots,
it's
everybody.
not that big a deal. It's just me being
You're not trying to day drink on a Wednesday while watching Dynamite?
no, I no. I enjoyed their first theme song very more, but
Yeah,
that's it's just me being picky. They're phenomenal inside the ring though. They're gonna be great once they finally get their opportunity. It's just it's like Austin said, they learn from everybody, and you can definitely tell.
yeah. Like you can tell that they sit and pick the brain of everybody in that locker room
Yeah,
because they're always improving something. And for a young up and coming tag team, they're in the best company they could be in. Because think of the
absolutely.
tag teams they have in that locker room. Because you
Yeah,
got the Bucks, you got FTR, you've got SCU. Because Daniels and Kazarian have been teaming for 20 years.
yes, they
You've
have.
got Matt Hardy, you've got Arn Anderson and Tully Blanchard. You've got so many teams there. So yeah, I've
Right.
definitely enjoyed the improvement of Private Party because they've won me over.
Yes.
So after the match, FTR they ambush the Bucks. They hit the Goodnight Express on Matt Jackson. Tully Blanchard gives the metal chair to Cash, and they're about to kill Matt Jackson's leg again.
Yeah.
Before Cash could come down on it, Hangman and Kenny run out. They make the save. I believe Hangman was out there first. I think.
I believe. Hold on.
I was at the gym and just looked up and saw them both in the ring. So I don't see who got there first. Was it the same deal? They had a stare down after, and then Omega kind of backed off. But I like that they're playing up that Hangman is still there for the Bucks
Yeah.
because it kind of goes back to you can tell he doesn't want to lose the Bucks. He didn't even want to lose Kenny,
No.
and it eats at him. And I think that's something we can all relate to. Like we've all had those moments.
Yeah, for sure.
So after this, the best segment of the night and might be the best segment in the past 10 years.
Yeah.
Tony Schiavone's in the ring for the face-off between Eddie Kingston and Jon Moxley ahead of their I Quit match at Full Gear. Oh my God. So it was announced, Tony Khan announced ahead of time that neither competitor could touch each other tonight or the match was off. They would forfeit their match at Saturday. So Eddie, he's like, I'm going to kill you. I'm going to end you. I'm taking that title. That's all I've ever wanted. I'm taking it. And then Mox is like, Eddie, I was happy when you got signed, but you burned me. I'm not happy for you anymore. And you broke a champion. Because Eddie was talking about how he promised his mom that it was all going to be worth it. That, the reason that he doesn't have a wife and the reason he doesn't have kids is because it was worth it. He was always going to get that title. He was always going to get the most prestigious belt. And, he promised his mom he was going to do it. And Mox looks at him and goes, huh, guess you made a promise to your mom you can't keep. And, because he mentions her name. He was like, what was her name? Like Ruby?
I do not remember.
But, they play on the fact that Mox knows his mom. He's like, what's your mom gonna do? What's she gonna do? I've set her kitchen table. I've talked with her. I heard you make the promise. What are you gonna do when you can't deliver on that? And they're face to face. They're steaming at each other. And Mox is like, the loudest one is always the weakest one, Eddie. He's always the most afraid. And what are you afraid of? You're afraid that you're gonna lose. You know you can't beat me. And that's what. And he goes, the worst part is you made a promise to your mother that you can't keep.
And Eddie is losing it in the ring. He's like, "Don't you ever mention my mother?" And he's like, he's cussing up a storm, and I'm not going to do that. But he's just like he is going ballistic in the ring.
Yeah.
And it played in so well because the old saying, if you know my mama, you know me.
Yeah.
It made the most sense. It would make perfect sense for him to do this because Mox was like, "You're not going to keep that promise to your mom." And I'm sitting there, I'm like, oh, it's like that.
Yeah.
And, bro, it grabbed me right from the start. And it just kept building and building and building. And Tony Khan was like, I better not touch each other. And, dude, they are like
nose to nose.
Just,
and, Kingston grabs the mic. He says, you better be ready to kill me. This is real. And Mox ends it by saying, this Saturday night, you'll find out that you're alone with your ego. You'll find out you're not the man you thought you were. And you will say the words, I quit.
Yeah.
And they asked Mox about it on the press conference after Full Gear. And that's what he's like, look, we knew we had something. He goes, after our first match, we knew we just needed a couple of real promos to cap it off. Because I think his word was we had to do any of that wonky BS.
Yeah.
He was like, this, we didn't have to throw a gimmick on this. We didn't have to have weird segments. We knew we had something real. We had something good. And they did.
I think there is a big difference between having a story and then having a great story that's real.
Yeah.
That makes sense. My biggest thing in wrestling is you have to make me feel something. Yeah. Everything with that match. Like I went through a roller coaster ride of emotions throughout the match last night, and we'll get into that. But it sets the great stories apart. It really does.
Yeah, these two are money. Mox is great. Everything Eddie does is money, and it showed.
Yes, for sure.
So after this, a video of Pac was played. They were showing like different versions of him, and like basically it was like the thing about isolation, you got nobody to play with. Yeah. You're by yourself, and he's like, I've been here before. Alluding to when he was sitting out his contract in WWE.
Mm-hmm.
He was like, lost, abandoned. He said, every day that passes, I get stronger and faster and more obsessed. And I think he was talking about Eddie Kingston too, about how Eddie Kingston stole the Lucha Bros from him.
Yes.
And he was like, he goes, I'm by myself, Eddie. There's nothing to make me forget. He hasn't forgotten that the Lucha Bros are with Eddie now. And he laughed maniacally, and then they ended the segment. They asked Tony Khan last night about being able to get international talent back in, and he said he'd love to, and he does not have, or he doesn't have guidelines, and he doesn't have like a date or a timeline of when they'll be able to get back in. But you have to imagine, they'd love to get dudes like Pac and Riho back in. But that's what he was like, he's like, I just don't have the answers. We don't know when we'll be able to.
Yeah, I was just about to touch on that, which we'll harp on this again. We are in the middle of a pandemic, so
Yeah.
obviously are guidelines that have to be followed. I thought the package was perfect for Pac. It fit him 110%. And just to harp on your point even more, I'm pretty sure Pac's stuck in England and Riho's stuck in Japan.
Yeah.
So that's why they haven't been on TV. God, I miss Riho more than I miss Pac. It's nothing against Pac. It's just that women's division needs Riho right now. So
yeah, I miss both of them a lot. I miss Pac on my TV. Because what was the last thing he did, that Iron Man match with Kenny on Dynamite? No, he had the pay-per-view match with Orange Cassidy at Revolution. But, then obviously the pandemic hits, and it sucks, but
it is what it is.
Like, it's out of everybody's control. We're in a pandemic. There's not much they can do.
Yeah.
So after this, Alex Marvez interviews QT Marshall and Dustin Rhodes. They were attacked by Butcher and the Blade when Bunny distracted QT. Now, this happened on Full Gear, but I'm going to go ahead and talk about it. They cut to a backstage interview, right? And this is QT Marshall and Dustin. QT goes, Butcher and the Blade, yeah, they attacked us. Yeah. But Bunny, this is your fault. What? He's like, you got with me for my fame and my fortune, and you knew that we were in the natural family or the nightmare family or whatever they are, the natural nightmares. Sorry, and you knew that we got the most TV time, and you're a tramp. This is all your fault. So let me get this straight. We're beefing with the girl, not the two dudes who just laid you out backstage with a stick, but the girl. That's who we're choosing to battle.
Yeah, bro, you ain't know.
Cause then Dustin at the Full Gear promo was like, you little tramp, you broke his heart, and we're gonna kill you, and we're gonna kill your boys, and a bunkhouse match, and Bunny, this is your fault.
First things first, I would like to think I'm somewhat educated in wrestling history. I have no idea what a bunkhouse match is. I had to go do some research, and I'm still not entirely sure.
Yeah.
So I guess we'll see Wednesday. Second, why are we attacking Allie? What Allie do? Like, I get she turned, but the interview's gonna be focused on Allie, not the Blade. Why? Send Brandy to go fight Allie if that's what y'all gonna do.
Nah, bro. QT won't fight her.
No, like, God, no. It's just, look, nothing against QT Marshall. He doesn't need to be on my TV.
Yeah, I don't care to see Dustin or QT Marshall on my television.
Dustin, I don't necessarily mind because he's done so much. I don't like the program he's in with QT. QT Marshall does not need to be on my TV. I'm sure he's a great guy. I have no doubt he's a great guy. He's obviously a trainer. He helps out.
Girl stolen.
He helps out a lot. He doesn't need to be on my TV. As my dad says, QT Marshall does not need to be on my TV. So
yeah, but yeah, back to Dynamite. They got attacked by Butcher and the Blade. After this, the Native Beast Nyla Rose faced Red Velvet with Brandy Rhodes. Don't ask me why Brandy's with Red Velvet. I don't know. I don't care. Nyla used the running knee strike that Sheeta uses to beat Red Velvet. After the match, Vicky walks up talking that stuff to Sheeta. Sheeta grabs her, and then Nyla and Sheeta begin to slug it out. They have the little brawl and get pulled apart. Once again, I don't think that went too terribly long either.
No.
I think they're definitely working on definitely working on the brawl timing. It was too little too late. You know, they had all the time in the world to build for this on Dynamite rather than Dark, and they just didn't do it. And Tony Khan addressed that after the pay-per-view last night, saying that they should have done more on Dynamite rather than Dark. So it's good that they're at least owning up to it.
Yes.
So after this, you know, American Nightmare Cody and the Gun Club versus Dark Order. Okay, show's over. See y'all next week.
Dang, it was like that. Look, they had all the time in the world to build up on the women's match and just didn't. The match last night was great. I thought it was phenomenal. I'm not going to be mean and say I don't necessarily care. I would just like explanations as to why Brandy's with Red Velvet. Maybe they addressed it on Dark. I don't know. I don't have time to watch Dark, as we've stated numerous times. Please let me know if that's why. Other than that, I'm not entirely sure. Now, back to the six-man tag. I'm just going to go ahead and let you get your stuff off your chest because you got more to say about it than I do. So go ahead, brother.
I'm at the gym. I'm on the elliptical. I'm getting my cardio in. And I look up, and, you know, the match has been going back and forth, whatever. Like, it is what it is. And I noticed that before the match started, Darby was in the rafters because, you know, he's Sting, brother. And, you know, they're having a good little back and forth match. And Billy does a hot tag with, like, 6 or 7 minutes left in the show. And here comes Austin Gunn. And he hits 10 with the crossroads and pins him. Why is Austin Gunn getting a hot tag match winning sequence on a main event episode of Dynamite? Where's Scorpio Sky been? Where's Will Hobbs? We can't have more than one women's match, but Austin Gunn can get a hot tag in the win? Yeah, that killed my whole vibe.
Look, I'll say this. I had no problem with the match. I don't know anything about Austin Gunn. Billy's obviously that dude. I don't know Austin. Would love to learn more about him. The timing of the match, what I'm going to talk about. Why is this your main event?
Yeah.
On the Go Ho show, the Go Ho show to Full Gear, this was the main event.
Well, look, Meg, how else is Cody going to get his 5-minute promo to end the show?
Look, he could have done that to start the show.
Nah, bro, it's not as impactful.
Why not put the Young Bucks last? Because, you know, they had arguably the best match on the pay-per-view on paper. Why not put, I don't know, anybody else last?
Why not do the Jericho MJF stuff last?
That's the match you start the show with. Once again, no issues with anybody in the match for me personally. It just comes down to there was zero explanation for why. And during the match, they're like, well, Billy and Austin are in the Nightmare family now. Why?
Yeah. Cody went to Hollywood, came back, and he just likes Billy Gunn and Austin Gunn more than his own brother.
It's like, why? Like,
hey, that's what I can't. Like, if y'all were going to do a 6-man tag, why is it not Cody, Dustin, and QT?
Like, it's your family. If you want to do it, fine. But can I get some explanation?
Like, sure, they're in the Nightmare family, but Dustin is your literal blood family.
Like, bro, you remember at WrestleMania 24 when Floyd Mayweather came out with his whole crew?
Yes. Oh, my God. That's exactly what Cody is.
That's what Cody does every week, bro. I was thinking about that. This man came out last night with everybody. He comes out by himself, and I'm like, maybe.
I hear.
Everybody. I'm like, well, there they are.
Yeah, lights turn off. There's more than one royal family in wrestling. You know, Halo 3 entrance, you know, and then adrenaline, and then it's him and Brandy, and they pan the camera to the right, and here goes 15 dudes out of the tunnel.
I was just like, wow.
You got what looks like a Jey Uso knockoff, Dustin, QT, the Guns, who had just been in the crowd earlier, Arn with his Waffle House menu. But
I don't understand that. I'll never understand that. But
Austin Gunn. Yeah, all right. So Cody grabbed the mic and was like, "My opponent, Full Gear, he's saying, oh, TNT doesn't want him as champion, and Cody feels that they would love it. And if the circumstances were different, he would love it. But he goes, Darby, you want the ace belt. Here's the problem. You're not the ace." Which that ruled. Cody rules, except that one promo where he read a book before the dog collar match. But Cody normally rules on the mic. He ruled here. He's like, here, like the way he just delivered the line of,
yeah.
But here's the problem. You're not the ace. And he held up the title. That ruled. And I'm ready for him to be a heel.
Yeah.
But after the show went off the air, Cody, and I think this is why they went main event. He's like, since I came back, I haven't had a chance to, talk to you guys since I came back, or since fans came back. I haven't had a chance. He goes, I don't have just one name anymore. Yeah. I'm finally Cody Rhodes again. Which, that rules. That's cool. You didn't have to have the main event match to say that, but that's cool. But Dynamite, it was all right. Like, it wasn't anything special, but it didn't need to be. It was the icing on the cake for Full Gear. There was, it was fine.
For sure.
So now we get into Full Gear.
Yes, sir.
So, the buy-in match was Allison Kay versus Serena Deeb in the NWA Women's Championship match. This match ruled. All right, that match ruled. I'm just gonna be honest with you. Deeb retained the title after submitting Kay with the Serenity Lock, but what really matters here, Thunder Rosa came out and was like, all right, Serena, that's cool. That's my title. That's my title.
Yeah.
That freaking ruled.
Phenomenal. It was a great between a 12, 15-minute match. Phenomenal match. Both women are going at it back and forth. Obviously, Serena Deeb comes out on top. And then this music just starts playing on my TV. And I'm like, who's this?
Yeah.
And I'm on the Rosa, and I'm in the living room. I'm like, yes, sir, she's back. So my biggest question from this match is the NWA title staying on Dynamite, or is this just a limited time thing? I'd love to know, because if it's staying, that's great. It gives them way more talent to work with in the women's division. Not that they necessarily need it. It's nice to see the change of pace. I love to know.
They asked Tony about it last night, and I think he kind of talked about that. They're still going to have the NWA Women's Championship, but they're going to prioritize the AEW Women's Championship as they should.
They should, but if that's going to stay, that's phenomenal for both companies, because it gets NWA national exposure, and it helps AEW, because those NWA, they are so good.
Yeah, and he said he's working on Billy Corgan with like a talent exchange program with the NWA, so that's cool.
Yes, for sure.
So we get into the main card, and the first match is Kenny Omega versus Hangman Adam Page. So Kenny beat Hangman in 16 minutes, 25 seconds. The biggest thing, Don Callis.
Yeah.
Is that which this ruled. Don Callis, the executive vice president of Impact Wrestling, is on commentary for this match.
Yes.
This freaking ruled. So Don Callis, I believe that him and Kenny were close in Japan. I believe that's the connection there. He definitely has a past with Kenny, and that's what Tony Khan said, that he got Don to come in as a favor to Kenny, because he knew Kenny would really like Don to call in this match.
Yeah.
Tony said that they want to build on this to try to work with a lot, if not all, the other companies in the United States, which I think would be the best thing to do.
Yes, I totally agree.
He didn't mention what the deal with Impact was to get Don Callis here, but I would love to see a working relationship with the both of them.
Absolutely.
Don Callis ruled on commentary. This match ruled. So it it only went 16 minutes, and when you're watching it, it felt like it felt shorter than that.
Yes, it did.
But at the same time, I don't feel like that was a bad thing
No, it was not at all.
because, uh, you know, it would have been easy for them to go out and have a 45-minute match. But they didn't
Yes.
need to do that.
No.
With how these shows already run as it is, because they run late as it is, this was perfectly timed and paced, in my opinion.
Absolutely.
Um, so the match started, Kenny at the start of the match tried to offer a handshake, and Hangman wouldn't do it.
No.
And it's like, okay. They did a chop spot at one point in the match.
Goodness.
Dude, those chops hurt me.
Yeah.
So they went outside. They went back in the ring. They were all over the place. I mean, it was near fall after near fall. Everybody's hitting with everything they've got. So Page, so they exchanged strikes, and Omega hit a V trigger, and the J Driller got a near fall. They exchanged forearms. Page hit the dead eye for a near fall. Page rolled up Omega, kick out, and then Omega hit a dragon screw leg whip and a V trigger, and then avoided the buckshot, and then hit two more V triggers and the one winged angel for the win. They were playing up on Kenny tweaking his knee in this match, and I don't know if that was shoot or not.
I don't either.
And if it was, then it could explain why the match went a little short. But they didn't talk about it in the press conference after, so I don't think it was. I think that was just a work. I think they were just playing up on it. But like I said, some people were underwhelmed that it went short. I wasn't. I felt like it fit perfectly. It wasn't too long of an opener, and still did what you needed it to do.
Absolutely. Dude, it was so hard hitting. They were hitting with every inch of power they had.
Yeah.
It was ridiculous to watch. And it's like you said, we were sitting there watching it, and it's just you blink and it's over. But it was very entertaining. I look at my clock, and we're already 30 minutes into the show.
Yeah.
So it was very entertaining. When he hit the woman on Angel at the end, I love the way they ended it because Hangman was like, "Nah, you're not," because obviously he has to pull his neck down to hit it. And Hangman was like, I'm not going. And then finally Kenny got it, and it was a stiff one-winged angel, and it was over. So I love the match. Great pacing because there was 8 matches on the card, and the show still didn't end until like 10:45 at Central. So I thought it was great. But people
after this match, they decided to go into their comedy match early, which personally, I would have waited a little longer. I would have had the show, or I would have this match later in the show, just to give the crowd a chance, to kind of like revive their energy a little bit. It was Orange Cassidy versus John Silver. So the funniest part of this match, and of course, like Orange is going to put his hand in his pockets, and Silver screams and they're like, "No, don't do it!" And at one point, Silver rips his pockets out.
Yeah.
And I was it JR? I think it was JR on commentary. He goes, "Well, he has been wearing those pants for like a year now."
Yeah.
And I was like, "Okay, that's a good line, Jim. That was a good line right there." Silver. Oh my God! All right, so at one point, Cassidy gets a crossbody in the DDT, and Silver kicks out, and hits him with a boot and a gorilla press. And then Silver is going for kicks. Cassidy reverses a suplex into a stunner. Kick out. Silver hits the spin doctor for a near fall and went for Brody Lee's discus lariat. Cassidy dodged it, hit the orange punch and the beach break for the win. John, there were like 3 times in this match that I thought it was over, and John Silver said, "Not today, big man."
Yeah.
Which this match only went 9 minutes and 40 seconds, but it was very like go, fast paced.
Absolutely.
Like I said, I would have waited just a little bit longer to do this match personally. I would have had it later in the show, but it is what it is.
I didn't mind at the time. After the show, we'll get into this when we get to the MJF match. But yeah, I agree. It would have been much better towards the end of the show. But dude, this match was phenomenal. It had everything you wanted, from a solid match to entertainment to just really in shock belief. This dude John Cena was running around like he just took 3 shots of 5-hour energy.
Yeah,
and it was phenomenal. And Orange Cassidy is like, who are you? So it had everything you wanted. Cassidy's that dude. John Silver found his way on a main pay-per-view card because of BTE and the Dark Order.
Yeah.
So it had everything you wanted, and you love to see a guy getting his chance on a main pay-per-view card.
Absolutely. So after this, we go to the TNT title match. So Darby Allin defeated Cody Rhodes here, and it legit popped me. I mean, I came off of X's couch when he won. So they announced that Mike Chioda is the referee for this match, and for the first time, he was announced as Cody Rhodes, and that ruled. The crowd popped big time for that. Cody was just being the cocky Cody that he's been. He tried to he knocked Darby down. He tried to help him up, and then Cody did the push-ups again, which Arn got pissed.
Arn was like, "What are you doing?" No.
Yeah, Arn was hot. And the craziest spot in this match, they're on the top rope.
Mm-hmm.
And Cody says, "All right, Darby, you're going to die today." Hits him with a crossroads from the top rope.
Yeah.
Just going crazy.
I thought it was over.
Yeah, I was like, okay, Darby's not kicking out of that. And he didn't, but his arm was under the rope.
Yeah, this
so the count was stopped.
Put it in perspective. He hit the crossroads on, I think it was the right corner. It's a 4-sided ring, so it's on the right side of your TV.
Yeah, the top right.
This man rolls all the way to the top left, the other turn, opposite side diagonal of the ring. Yeah. I'm like, gosh.
The ring post that's closest to the camera and on the face side of the crowd was where they did it, and he rolled over to the ring post furthest from the TV on the heel side.
Yeah.
So that was just absolutely insane. So they go to the top rope again, and Cody fell back to crush Darby, and they're yelling. Arn and Cody are yelling at Darby to stay down.
Yeah.
And goes for the coffin drop. Cody kicks out at 2, and they go into this bit where they're reversing each other. They're trying to get small packages, and they're reversing, and then Darby gets a 3 count.
Yeah.
I couldn't believe it. They were they're exchanging pins, and Darby got the 3 count, and I popped. It caught me by surprise.
Yeah.
So Arn gets pissed because Arn's iced out on he's got the Nightmare Family blazer on, he's got the wife beater on and the chain with the chest hair out. Arn, he's iced out on the outside of the ring, and he's pissed. Yeah. And Cody, he grabs the title and then looks at Darby and gives it to him. I was like, oh my God. Just kill the man. Turn heel. Kill the man.
Yeah.
So they're celebrating, and here comes Taz. He goes, Darby, you suck. Cody, you're overrated. Both of y'all, get on my ring now. And he's cussing them out, and as Cody and Darby are looking like, who are you talking to right now?
Well, Cody put up his fingers. He's like, you this close, Taz.
Yeah. And Brian Cage and Ricky Starks jumping from behind. They throw Darby through the full gear screen over off the crowd. And because Darby, so in a video package, they kept showing this car that Darby was running a Cody lookalike over with. And and Darby rode on that car to the ring. So it's still parked out there. So they throw him on the car. Cody tries to make the save and gets incapacitated again, second time. They're about to snap Darby's arm in the car.
Seriously.
And here comes Will Hobbs swinging a chair like a madman.
Bro, all you hear, he swung the chair, all you hear is, I was like,
and all he did was hit the car door.
Yeah.
I mean, it sounded like a gun went off. So he chases them out, and Taz is like, whoa, brother, hold up, brother. And, like, Hobbs is going crazy. He's, like, hitting the guardrail with the chair. He's throwing guardrails. Like, he's hyped up. He's hot.
Yeah.
But Will Hobbs still has not made his decision about joining Team Taz or not. Personally, I think he'll lay Darby out and join Team Taz. But we'll have to see how that plays out.
I think it makes the most sense.
So after this, we get the Dustin Rhodes and QT promo.
Yeah, we already talked.
Yeah. Dustin, does a great job, and he's fired up. He hates this. He hates Bunny, which granted, he's always hated Bunny. But he's like, bro, he shoots on the Butcher. He's like, Butcher, you fatty, you can't last 10 minutes with me, brother. You can't last 10 minutes in the ring with me. So Bunkhouse match is announced for Dynamite. Well, it's kind of, from my understanding, it's just a street fight, in street fight gear. So we'll see what that looks like come Wednesday on Dynamite.
Yeah.
So after this, we get the AEW Women's Championship match. Hikaru Shida defeats Nyla Rose to retain the title. This match could have been a little bit shorter.
Yes, but I enjoyed the match.
This match, Vicky Guerrero got involved a lot. They did a really good job working Shida's knee. They worked her knee the entire match, and she sold it wonderfully.
Yes, she did.
There were a lot of moves that she was trying to do, but couldn't because her knee was giving out. Mm-hmm. At one point, she picked Nyla Rose up for a suplex, and I lost it.
Yeah.
I say, oh my god. So they battle on the ramp for a little bit. They come back in. Shida, she hits her with the Falcon Arrow and hit like 4 knee strikes to win. After the match, Vicky Guerrero slapped Nyla Rose.
Yeah.
And then just walked off, and Nyla just took it.
Nyla was like, okay.
And I couldn't believe, I think everybody expected Nyla to attack her, and she just didn't.
Yeah.
But like I said, this match could have gone a little shorter, and it would have been fine.
I enjoyed the match the way it was, honestly.
I mean, it wasn't bad. Don't get me wrong. It's just it could have been shorter, in my opinion.
And they both had their spots where they both kicked out at one, if I remember correctly, and that was fire because it's like got the new energy. Dude, Nyla is so goddamn Nyla. If they would just let her go, she would be phenomenal. Yeah. They've let her go and do her thing. It's time to let Nyla go too. I know Nyla's already had the belt. Nyla showed me a lot in this match where she can be much more than a powerhouse. You just have to have somebody in there strong enough to get her up and over to do like suplexes and stuff, which obviously showed that she is. So I think it's going to be interesting. We'll see if the homie Britt Baker gets the title shot next. I hope she does because I'm ready.
Yeah. But yeah, it wasn't a bad match. It's just I felt like it could have gone a little shorter.
I feel you.
So the dream tag team match of the century. Young Bucks and FTR. And so I'll be honest, going into this match, I didn't think it was going to live up to expectations. And I even told you that before the match started.
Yeah.
We were talking about that before, that I didn't think that it was going to live up to expectations. I was wrong.
Yeah.
I was absolutely wrong.
It was every bit of amazing.
It was back and forth. It was everything you wanted in this tag match.
Absolutely.
That's what I was like, I don't know. If this would have been like maybe 2016, it would have hit different. No, it still hit the same.
No.
They were just at one point, FTR did the DIY finish.
Yes, they did.
But before that, the Bucks, they did the electric chair bulldog combo, and then the 3D, and then the twist of fate, and then the swanton bomb. So it was just kind of like a callback to tag team wrestling.
Yes, it was.
And it ruled. So the way this ended, I think this was great the way it ended. Because, what's FTR's big tagline?
Yeah.
No flips, just fist.
Yep.
And at the end of the match, it came down to Cash and Matt Jackson, and Cash went for a 450 splash, missed it, and Matt won with the super kick. That was beautiful. FTR trying to be too cocky and trying to, be smart Alex, and it biting them in the rear end.
Yeah, they took the homie's shoe off.
And they did.
With the bare foot, and I thought that was telling too because his knee had been messed up. Okay, I'm sorry. The Dallas Cowboys are up 10-0 on the Pittsburgh Steelers.
They're right what?
But I digress.
We'll see you on Tuesday for that.
Tune in Tuesday. God, I'm pissed. So, what were I talking about? I was talking about the barefoot. The barefoot, because obviously his knee was messed up. They were cluing with his ankle. Or it was his ankle. I'm sorry. I was thinking about Sheeta with the knee. It was his ankle. I apologize. So, and then for him to hit that super kick at the end with the barefoot to end it, I thought was phenomenal. And let me just say this. This dude, Cash Wheeler, was putting his body on the line. Okay?
Absolutely.
Let's just throw that out there. All four guys were, obviously. This dude, Cash Wheeler, is flipping through middle ropes, trying not to hit the gate on the outside, the barrier from the crowd. And I was like, he's not supposed to do that. So, but this dude, Hardwood hit the post, and he punched the mess out of that ring post. His hand matched. The storytelling was phenomenal, and the match was everything you wanted. Everything. It lived up to everything. And obviously, the Bucks won, so they can challenge for the titles again whenever, because we don't know how it's going to play out with Matt's knee, if they're going to have to give it up or not. Yeah. So, we'll see.
And even more storytelling was at the end of the match. So, remember on Dynamite when Hangman was like, if I lose, I don't think I have anything else except this glass of whiskey. And then he saved the Young Bucks on Dynamite. And yet, at the end, Kenny Omega came out to celebrate in the Bucks, and all you see is Hangman sipping a glass of whiskey in the entrance tunnel.
Yep.
Just watching, just looking so depressed.
Never got mentioned either, which I thought was very interesting.
And I think, it could be Hangman going with FTR. I personally, I don't see that. I don't see that at all. I see. So, do you remember back in, I think it was 2013, 2014, when AJ Styles was doing the Lone Wolf in TNA?
Yeah.
I think it'll go to that. I think Hangman will get in a depressive state and isolate himself and be like a lone wolf and kind of like not a heel, but like just a tweener, that he'll attack whoever he needs to attack to do what he needs to do. And with Hangman, it's going to work. It's going to work.
I think it's going to be very interesting to see what they do with the Elite in particular, because Cody's teetering that brink of being heel and being face. Obviously, Cody handed the title to Darby practically literally on one knee last night, which I thought was pretty cool for Darby because you can see he's emotional and the dude deserves it. But Cody's on the brink. The Bucks are on the brink. Hangman, you would think he's going to be a face. I'm not so sure now. I don't know what they're going to do, and it's interesting because it keeps me guessing, and I'm here for it. So,
yeah.
Lou?
So after that match was the final deletion match, or the elite deletion.
I was going to ask, I was like, does it really matter which one it is? But
the elite deletion. My apologies. So look, I'm not gonna sit here and lie to anybody. The best part of this match was Gangrel and Hurricane Helm showing up.
Yeah.
So they're going at it. Matt's got a monster truck.
Yeah.
Santana and Ortiz jump Matt. Matt pulls out a little radio. He said, "I need backup." They said 10-4. You know, Jim, who are they talking? Who's he talking to on that radio? Who's he talking to? And here comes Private Party in a big truck. So they start battling Santana and Ortiz. Matt and Sammy shot Roman candles at each other.
Dude, that was awesome. I was like, it's dangerous as can be, but that was awesome.
Yeah. So Matt's getting ready to end Sammy, and Gangrel goes, "Stop right there, Matt. Look up. This man, Gangrel, has Hurricane Helms tied up."
Yeah, he does.
So he goes to attack him, and then Sammy attacks Matt and Hurricane Helms. He throws Hurricane into the Lake of Reincarnation.
Yeah.
He comes out as reporter Shane Helms, and he goes back into the lake, and he'll eventually come back as Hurricane. Everyone was brawling there, in the chair. Gangrel's here, Hurricane's back, Private Party, Santana Ortiz. Matt and Sammy got locked in the Dome of Deletion, the mower of lawns, the chair of wheels. They're all getting shown. Sammy's choking Matt with the ring ropes, hits a swanton bomb off a ladder through a table. Matt kicks out, hits a twist of fate, and then a spear through the apron where Sammy... So, okay. I didn't necessarily like this. He spears him off the apron, and they tried to act like... Because at their last match, Matt legitimately crashed his head on the concrete and got concussed.
Yeah.
So they did editing here to make it look like Sammy cracked his head open on the concrete. I didn't necessarily like that, but it was cool. It was whatever. Because Matt, remember back when Sammy threw the chair at Matt and gigged him hard way?
Yeah.
They do that, and then he hit Sammy with the concerto for the pin. It was a long time coming, but it was a good payoff.
Absolutely. This match was phenomenal. And I was talking to you about this last night. I have the utmost respect for these kind of matches because they're so hard to shoot.
Yeah.
Every time they do a spot, they have to move the cameras and the lighting and stuff, especially when it's dark. So this man, Sammy, is rolling around in the mud. He was in those muddy clothes for 8 hours. Yeah. So I have the utmost respect for that. The match was phenomenal. It was great for what it was. As also said, everybody made it out healthy. This dude, look, we got to stop with these. I understand he didn't hit him. The top of the chair hit the concrete before it hit his head. I understand how it works. But we gotta stop.
Yeah, just don't even tease it.
Yeah, we gotta stop. Just it was appropriate for the match in that way, but we gotta chill. We're gonna get into some stuff later. That's different. You gotta stop with the chair to the head. Too much stuff happens. But other than that, the match was great. It was a great cinematic match. Shout out to everybody involved, including the production team.
What's up with that?
Yeah, look, Hurricane Helms was a GOAT, so what else do I need to say?
So after this, we get MJF versus Chris Jericho.
Yes.
At this point, I was out of it. The crowd was out of it. It was 10:13 Central Time before this match started. Or when it ended, I think. Sorry, my apologies. When it ended.
Yes.
I was done. It was a fine match, but like we were talking about last night, MJF is he's awesome on the mic. He cannot get heat while wrestling.
No.
Nobody cares about what he's doing when he's wrestling.
We were talking about this last night, and as you guys know from listening to this podcast, I am probably as high on MJF as I am in anybody in wrestling right now. And last night hurt my pride, I'm not going to lie. MJF will come out and get booed all the way to the next town on the mic. But he'll get in the ring, and the crowd will just be flat. And I looked at Austin, and I said, if he's ever going to take that next step, he has to find a way to get people to hate him in the ring.
Yeah.
And it's nothing against him. He's a fine wrestler. he has to find something else to either get the fans to cheer him or get the fans to boo him in the ring.
Yeah.
Even Jericho's down on the mat and he's banging the mat just to get the crowd back into it because he knew they were flat.
Yeah. Jericho very much worked this match as the babyface.
What he did.
Because, MJF, because a perfect point, MJF came out in a Chris Jericho light-up jacket, and the crowd popped, and then the match starts, and they don't care.
Yeah.
At one point, Jericho hits the ring post with the Judas effect, which is sick.
Yeah.
Jericho was like, I said he was working as the babyface. He was definitely still doing heel things, but there were points where he's doing babyface things too. Because he hit an eye poke behind Aubrey Edwards' eyes, but then he hit a lion salt and a Frankensteiner.
Yeah.
So, he got the code breaker and a heat seeker. MJF did. Got a code breaker and a heat seeker for a near fall. The code breaker was awful. It was bad. So while the ref was distracted, Wardlow runs down and gives Chris the diamond ring, and he goes to hit him, and Jericho moves and gets handed Floyd the bat, and Jericho and MJ's like, whoa, and then he looks at Wardlow, he winks at Wardlow, he looks at Jericho, he winks at Jericho, and he falls down and hits the mat, and Aubrey Edwards turns around and Jericho's holding the bat.
Yeah. And
Jericho's pleading his case. Next thing you know, MJF rolls him up and pins him. 1, 2, 3.
Yep.
So after the match, Jericho was like, all right, kid, welcome you and Wardlow to the Inner Circle.
Yeah.
I don't think Wardlow knew he was included in this.
Wardlow was like, what are you talking about? But before we get to that, this is perfect for MJF. Because what did we just talk about?
He needs a faction.
Has to find a way to connect with the people in the ring. I have no doubt that Jericho will help him do that. Because essentially what this is the company saying, all right, MJF, you got the mic skills, you got the in-ring skills, but you're missing one thing. I guarantee Jericho's like, I'm going to help you find that one thing.
Yeah.
So we'll see where it goes. Still love MJF. But even when he had the world title match with Mox, it was flat. And you could argue it's because it's one of the last matches on the card, but the crowd was much more into the Mox and Kingston match. Yep. So that kind of contradicts the point. I don't know what it is. I don't know. I enjoy it, but I'm not like most.
My favorite part of this match was post-match when he welcomes Wardlow to the Inner Circle, and Wardlow and Jake Hager do not take their eyes off of each other. These dudes are ready to go. And that was emphasized because, Wardlow, he'll always hold the rope for MJF.
Yeah.
So he holds it for Jericho, he holds it for MJF, and Hager goes to leave, and Wardlow sits off the rope and leaves. He doesn't hold the rope for Hager. And these two do not, because they do the big pose at the stage where they're all holding each other's hands up, and Wardlow's just staring a hole through Jake Hager.
Yeah.
And look, when those two I almost sound like JR here for a minute, but when those two hosses finally get in the ring, that's going to hit different. That right there is going to hit different. And I don't even like him. I don't even like Jake Hager like that. But that's gonna hit different.
That match is gonna be great. But
after that,
it's just MJF. He's got to find a way to tap in with the crowd during the match. That's the main point of the match.
Yeah. So after this, they announced Revolution. It'll take place on February 27th, 2021. Tony Khan mentioned that they're gonna stick. He's sticking with the Big Four pay-per-view concept, then they're gonna do the special Dynamites and special events. Like Fyter Fest, Fight for the Fallen, stuff like that. I believe in the press conference he announced Beach Blast for January as a little special, and he said they've got something planned for December too.
I'm totally that because look, I love the company, but I can't pay $60 more than 6 times a year. I give you 6. I can't like WWE's like, all right, before the network, they're like, all right, $65, like 18 times a year. I'm like, no, ain't happening. So
So main event of the night, Jon Moxley, Eddie Kingston.
mm-hmm.
God, they beat the mess out of each other.
Yes, they did.
They're sitting there. Barbed wire bat comes because Moxley, he got whipped into the barricade, started bleeding from his eye. Then he grabbed a barbed wire bat and he starts dragging it across Kingston's face, and he's bleeding. Kingston hits some back suplexes. Kingston wraps the barbed wire around his fist and hits Moxley over and over and over.
Yeah.
Moxley suplexes Kingston onto an open chair, and the thumbtacks come out.
Oh, Jesus.
Kingston slams Moxley into the thumbtacks, right? He's not finished. He's not finished there. He goes to ringside, grabs a bottle of rubbing alcohol, and poured it all over Mox's back.
Yeah, which, look, to be fair, that happened pretty early in the match. He needed it. So,
yeah, but
it's just the point. All jokes aside, that had to hurt. Like,
yes.
So, it just played into that.
So, yeah, it's just he pours that rubbing alcohol on there. He takes thumbtacks and throws them into Mox's face, and they stick in the top of his head.
Yeah, he's like, he grabs the thumbtacks and he's punching him, and dude, all you see is 3 thumbtacks literally in Mox's like front lobe, and it's just like, wow, that's bad.
Yeah, and so Moxley fires up, hits the paradigm shift, does the bulldog choke, and he's not quitting. So what does Moxley do? Like any sane man, wraps barbed wire around his arm and then chokes Kingston with the bulldog choke.
Yeah.
And of course that will make Eddie Kingston quit. I think the best part was, we talked about this going into the match, you couldn't see either man saying that they were going to quit.
No, and I'm going to be completely honest, I'm not sure I saw Eddie quit.
Yeah, they said he did. I never heard it, but like I'm assuming he mumbled it, but it does not hurt his character at all because it took him getting choked with barbed wire.
Yeah, say if you get choked out with barbed wire, you're still as credible as they come. So,
yeah, Moxley celebrating his win. Kingston just rolls out of the ring, and here comes Kenny Omega.
Yes, sir.
And Kenny is signaling that, Moxley's like, hey, if you want it, come get in the ring, big dog. If you want it, come get it. Shout out John Cena.
And Kenny's like, I went through this match with you last year. No, I'm good.
Yeah, and Kenny goes, no, I'll take it in a regular wrestling match. So it appears that whenever they have the match, and Mox said post in the press interview, the press conference, that he knows when they're going to have it, but he's obviously not going to say.
Yeah.
Because why would he do that?
Yeah.
But it appears that it will be a normal wrestling match, which it should be.
Absolutely.
I'll be honest. I feel like this was the best pay-per-view of COVID era.
I agree. Look, it's going to be hard for any pay-per-view to top the first Double or Nothing. Those first 3 shows they did, between Double or Nothing, All Out, the first one, and the first Full Gear, even the first Revolution, it's going to be hard to top any of those with 4. This was the best pay-per-view of COVID era for either company, in my opinion.
Easily.
Yeah.
But, yeah, show goes off. Mox is in the ring celebrating his win. And I was thoroughly entertained. You mentioned this last night, that their magic number is 6.
Yeah.
Then you have 6 matches, not 8, 6. And I agree with that. By the time 11 rolls around, or midnight East Coast, and it's going off, I'm out. I'm drained.
Maybe I should stop watching the pre-show, but I feel kind of bad because I want to watch the buy-in.
Yeah, no, I need to watch the pre-show.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's I don't know.
It was not a bad show.
It was a great show. It's just I think it went a little bit too long.
I think everybody deals with this, and WWE started this nonsense. You don't need 12 matches on a card. You don't.
You don't.
I understand you want to give people their money's worth. Like I paid $60 for it. I got my money's worth.
Yeah.
Easily. And if you want to have 7 matches and the one comedy match, that's fine. But I feel like you need 6 down pat serious matches. And if you want to do another one comedy, fine.
Yeah.
Because like I'm sitting there and it's a Saturday. I've been watching college football all day. I've been doing homework. I went to see my granny. Shout out my granny. Happy birthday. And I'm just sitting there and it's like 11 and I'm like shot. It's not that I'm not. It's just my brain can't take anymore.
Yeah.
So, but all right, before we go, hot take. Where does Eddie Kingston go next?
Where does Lance Archer program? He'll work a program with Lance Archer.
All right, sounds good.
And since you're gonna throw me a hot take, I'm gonna throw you a hot take. I'm gonna throw you 2 of them. One, where's Hangman go?
I don't know. I don't know where Hangman goes. I really don't. The Bucks won, Kenny won, Hangman did not. I'm kind of with you. I think you remember when they did the Cena losing streak and he just stormed back and won everything.
Yeah.
It's going to be very similar to that.
Yeah.
This time, Hangman will have that title.
Yeah. All right. That said, when do they do Kenny and Mox? Do they wait all the way to Revolution?
Yes, you do. Yeah.
So can they drag it out to that point?
I said this last night. You're not getting that match for free. It ain't happening. I don't know what they're going to do. They'll work the video packages and the promos. I think Mox will defend before he defends against Kenny because I think the saving grace to this is going to be Kenny has the match whatever he wants.
Yeah.
This last night. They need to do this every year and have this be their Money in the Bank concept.
Yeah.
Kenny has the match whatever he wants. That match will be February 27th at Revolution. Now, who does Moxley defend the title against before then? Probably Cage. But didn't they just do that? So I'm not entirely sure where they go with that because you have Cage and Archer who are still legitimate, but they've already had their shot.
Yeah.
So where does he go next? I don't know what Moxley does until he gets to Omega, but I fully anticipate Omega and Mox happening at Revolution.
Yeah. Well, we won't know till we get there on Wednesday, but we don't have the answers. Not yet.
All right. Hold on. Housekeeping. Look, guys, the Titans play Thursday, so
yeah,
we're not entirely sure when the next episode is coming out. We're going to see if we can swing it Wednesday night, but that's not happening because we both have classes at 8 o'clock in the morning.
Yeah.
So, I hate to say that I don't know when we'll be back, but we genuinely don't right now.
It will be sometime next week. It'll just be later than normal.
Yes, it will be. Just want to throw that out there.
But then that's the Titans' last Thursday night game of the year, so we'll be able to hit that Thursday recording mark weekly.
Yes, we will be.
But thank y'all for sticking around. Thank y'all for listening. Anything else you'd like to add?
Nope. Y'all stay safe.
Yes, sir. Until next time.